The concept of Ecomuseum originated in France, and it was developed by Jean-Jacques Rivière and Duc Sévarine, who coined the term in 1971. The term eco refers to a new idea of holistic interpretation of cultural heritage, in opposition to the focus on specific items and objects performed by traditional museums. An ecomuseum is a museum focused on the identity of a place, largely based on local participation and with the aim to enhance the welfare and the development of local communities. There are presently about 300 operating ecomuseums in the world. About 200 are in Europe, mainly in France, Spain and Italy. An ecomuseum is a dynamic way in which communities preserve, interpret and manage their heritage for a sustainable development. An ecomuseum is based on a community agreement. As in a museum are exposed artworks, in an ecomuseum is exposed the local community, its territory, buildings and above all its people. We should say it is the same local community that exposes itself and which adds and updates new material in a continuous process, until considering an ecomuseum a museum of identity. The Ecomuseum of Nova Milanese in the park of Grugnotorto Villoresi is the fourth ecomuseum in the province of Milano, recognized by the Regione Lombardia. The idea of this ecomuseum has been developed within the research activities that the Cultural Association Il Cortile has carried out during its many years experience activities on the territory about the safeguard of the historical and environmental patrimony of the city. The ecomuseum realized has been possible thanks to the contribution of the population. The touristic route starts from the main square of Nova Milanese. On the Marconi Square overlooks the most important church of the city. The church of San Antonino Martire dates back to the 13th century. The first record of its existence is in the Liber Notiae Sanctorum. The church was renovated and expanded various times throughout the centuries. The first important project of this kind took place in 1842, when the two side halls were added to the nave. The side altars were added, and the statues of the Madonna and San Antonino were placed inside the church. Following Via Mariani, we meet the second place of interest, Villa Crosti Colombo. The first record we have of this building dates back to the second half of the 15th century. The Duchess of Milan, Bianca Maria Sforza Visconti, authorized the nuns from the convent of Santa Maria d'Incino in Monza, who owned a considerable amount of property in Nova Milanese, to rent some of their properties to the Cittadini family. During the early 19th century, the villa became the property of the Vertua Pirnetti family and was expanded. This family opened the first spinning mill in Nova, in the area next to the east wing of the villa. During the early 20th century, the south and west wings of the villa continued to be inhabited by the Vertua family, while they rented the east wing to the families of workers who were employed on the farms and in the factories of Nova Milanese. The old villa became the property of the Crosti Colombo families, who lived in it until the Second World War. During the war, many families who had lost their houses were hosted in the villa. The Colombo family used the villa as a summer residence after the war. The municipality purchased Villa Crosti Colombo in 1990 to use it as a cultural center. Following the route, we find another important villa, Villa Vertua. This is a very beautiful villa in early 20th century Liberty style, set in a large town park. After being owned by the Vertua and Masolo families, the villa was acquired and restructured by the municipal administration. The villa hosts now the permanent collection of fine arts and a collection of paintings by Vittorio Viviani. Another place of interest that we meet near the center of the city is a rural court in Vicolo Cortelunga. This court was born in 1722 and it is characterized by a long series of arcades and galleries, where it is still possible to find the stables, barns, small altars and shrines, sacred traces of popular religion. Going on Via Biondi, we arrive near the Villoresi Canal. The works to build this canal started in 1877 and they were completed in 1887. Despite the irrigation was the main purpose of the work, it was used also for the transportation of sand. This canal winds through the territory of Nova Milanese for about 3 kilometers, and it is now a part of the urban fabric. The Grugnotorto Villoresi Park represents an important source for the Ecomuseum of Nova Milanese. This park stands as a link between Parco Nord Milano, Parco delle Groane and Parco della Valle del Lambro. Despite being placed in a heavily urbanized context that determines fragmentation of green areas, the park preserves corners of natural interest. In the area there are cultivated fields, farmhouses still active, and green areas. Reforestation has been undertaken by environmental groups, and there is also an historic forest, il Bosco Bello, in the territory of Varedo. In the park is also present a small lake that is an example of environmental restoration of a quarry of sand and gravel. It is divided into two portions, one of which is used for fishing, while the other contains water hens, ducks, geese, and wild swans. Herons have also been sighted. Around the lake were created bike paths, sporting paths, and benches for break. These are the main stages of the Ecomuseum of Nova Milanese in the park of Grugnotorto Villoresi. There are about 40 places of interest to visit that represents the community of this place and the territory where they live. I hope you enjoyed this short video and I hope it has tempted you to come and visit the places where I live.